Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ice-Burgh To Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Penguins news and analysis. You can find us on YouTube at Inside the Penguins or anywhere you get your podcasts from. We have a trade to announce. Kyle Dubas has completed his first in-season trade as president and general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The details of the trade are as follows. The Penguins send defenseman Mark Friedman and forward Ty Glover to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for defenseman Jack Rathbone and forward Kyle Dubas. I asked myself as soon as I saw this, why was this trade made? Because Mark Friedman is a player that since he came to Pittsburgh under the Ron Hextall era, he was the first player acquired by Ron Hextall off of waivers from Philadelphia. But since joining the Penguins organization, Friedman has been everything the Penguins have asked of him. He's gone down to the AHL. He's come up to the NHL. When he's gotten his opportunities, he's performed well. He's been a thorn in the side of opponents for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been a reliable third-pairing defenseman when called upon. He didn't make the team out of camp this year, was sent back down to the AHL, cleared waivers. Why was this made? Well, turns out the Penguins had 9 what are considered to be veteran players at the AHL level. And in reality, they're only allowed to dress 6 at a time. This is per Tony Andrikaitis of Inside AHL Hockey. So they had 9. You can dress 6 at a time. Hence why if you go back and you look at their roster and their lineup for Sunday's game, Xavier Ouellet, Andreas Janssen, and Alex Nylander were all absent from the roster because the Penguins had to sit 3 of their 9 veteran players. So, in accordance with that, Mark Friedman is sent out. Jack Rathbone comes in and immediately reports to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, a left-shot defenseman, a left-side defenseman that fills that role. Now, Rathbone is not considered a veteran player by AHL standards, so the Penguins now only have to sit 2 players every single game. Now, the question then becomes, do we see more of these trades? Do we see 2 more specifically, so the Penguins don't have to have players on the roster that they're paying that they're not able to start and play at the AHL level? That remains to be seen. But in case you're wondering, here are the 8 remaining, quote, veteran players at the AHL level for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Xavier Ouellet, Andreas Janssen, and Alex Nylander, I already mentioned. They sat out on Sunday because of this roster issue. But also included in that are Vinny Hinostroza, Una Koppanen, Colin White, who was just signed before the season, Radim Zohorna, and Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins captain Taylor Fedun. So this is going to be something interesting to keep an eye on because now only 2 players of those 8 have to sit each game, but in reality, all of these players are on the Penguins' NHL roster bubble, specifically guys like Radim Zohorna, Vinny Hinostroza, Colin White. These are players that the reason the Penguins sent them down there is because they want them to play more often. They don't want them to sit in the press box as a healthy scratch. They want to see them get more game action. They're not going to get game action if 2 of them have to sit every single game. So will we see more trades like this? We don't know. Again, shout out to Tony Andrikaitis of Inside AHL Hockey. He had this. He explained this on Twitter. You can give him a follow. But that's why this trade was made. Again, Mark Friedman had been everything the Penguins asked of him. He was a stellar bubble AHL, NHL defenseman, and the Pittsburgh Penguins shed that. And again, another domino from the Ron Hextall era to fall. The remnants of that are being cleared out of this organization by Kyle Dubas. What does he bring in return from the Vancouver Canucks? Kyle Dubas is a 23-year-old forward. He will report to the ECHL's Wheeling Nailers, so don't expect to see him anytime soon, potentially ever, at the NHL level. But again, you never know. We've seen players go from Wheeling to the NHL on a journey several times before. Dubas played 8 games of North American hockey in his career, and that was back in the AHL in the 2021-22 season. He spent the entirety of last season playing in his homeland of the Czech Republic, or Czechia as it is now. But he's yet to play a game this season. So we'll see what he's able to do at the ECHL level with the Wheeling Nailers. Jack Rathbone, the more prominent piece coming back for the Pittsburgh Penguins, a 24-year-old left shot defenseman who will report directly to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. He is not a veteran player, as I mentioned earlier, so there will be no roster issues with him getting into the lineup. He's formerly a fourth-round pick. I guess not formerly. He is a fourth-round pick of the Vancouver Canucks back in 2017. Last year, he spent both time at the NHL and AHL levels, playing 11 games at the NHL level, scoring 2 points, 1 goal, and 1 assist. He played 37 games at the AHL level, scoring 14 points, 5 goals, 9 assists. He's a guy that last year was kind of a down year for him. The year prior was pretty solid season for him. I mean, that's the general consensus on Jack Rathbone, other than having a solid name, right? Gotta love that name. We'll see what he's able to do. He just adds to the younger depth for the Pittsburgh Penguins when it comes to the depth of their defense, especially on the left side there behind P.O. Joseph, who is the only guy that's going to give them a slot, but also somebody else that the Pittsburgh Penguins brought into the organization, at least on an official manner here earlier this morning. The Penguins signed left-handed defenseman Libor Hayek to a minor league contract today. Now, you might have heard that name before because he was originally signed to the Penguins as a PTO this fall, spending training camp with the organization. He was hanging around, not signed to a contract, still on his PTO. Today, he officially signed a minor league deal with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, so he will report as well to the AHL club. 2 left-handed defensemen joining the baby Penguins. That does leave, though, 2 PTOs still unsigned and still uncertain about where they stand with the organization. One being Austin Wagner, who is yet to be released from his PTO, also yet to be signed by the Pittsburgh Penguins at any official capacity. And Mark Pysyk, who did get injured during training camp. Same thing as Austin Wagner, yet to be signed, yet to be released from his PTO. A lot up in the air on where those 2 players sign. But at the end of the day, here's the tally. Penguins sign Libor Hayek, left-handed defenseman, to a minor league contract. They bring in Jack Rathbone from the Vancouver Canucks. He will report to Wilkes-Barre. They bring in forward Carol Plasic. He will report to the Wheeling Nailers. And they send out Ty Glover and Mark Friedman. There's your roundup. Penguins making some moves. We'll have to keep our eye on that veteran player status at the Wilkes-Barre Scranton level. As of right now, 8 of them remain on the roster. Only 6 of them can play at a time, but it's going to be intriguing to see how Kyle Dubas manages that as the season goes on. That was your breaking news. 8 minutes. Penguins trade Mark Friedman. Thank you so much for tuning in to Ice-Burgh To Go. Remember, you can find us on YouTube at Inside the Penguins or anywhere you get your podcasts from.